I've heard from people worried to see those they care about fighting each other on this issue, tearing some families and some friends apart. I've heard from a lot of people wondering why just a year ago we were all united, all in this together. And now that we have one of the most vaccinated population in the world, we've never been so divided. Now, these people are increasingly confused when, on the other hand, they hear experts like Dr. Carl Weiss, a renowned Quebec epidemiologist, state last week, and I quote, that COVID-19 is here to stay, that those at risk will have to be monitored closely when symptoms appear, that we will have to protect our healthcare systems, but that we will also have to live with the virus like we do with influenza, that we can't go back to lockdowns and restrictions not supported by science. They're confused when they hear Dr. Tam state last week that all existing public health policies, including vaccine passports, need to be re-examined, and that we need to have longer-term, sustained approaches and capacity building so we're not in crisis mode all the time as we fight this virus. They're confused when they see the undeniable trend around the world whereby, for instance, the World Health Organization recently recommended dropping or alleviating many border measures, including vaccine requirements, as they've proven to be ineffective in fighting the propagation of the Omicron variant. They're confused when they see countries around the world like Ireland, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Israel, Denmark, Spain, and the UK, who have either dropped almost all restrictions or are fast moving in that direction. All countries, I note, with lower vaccination rates than us. Now, while folks are hearing and seeing all of this, they're left rightfully wondering, where the hell are we heading here in Canada? I think there lies the frustration. They feel there is no appetite from our government to adapt so as to reflect the changing data and the changing reality of the pandemic and of the world. They're worried that measures which ought to be exceptional and limited in time are being normalized with no end in sight, like vaccine passports, mandates, and requirements for travelers. They're worried because they feel it is becoming harder and harder to know where public health stops and where politics begins. Now, I firmly believe governments would do well not to dismiss these legitimate concerns and not to demonize those who voice them. To the contrary, I believe these concerns need to be addressed head-on. The vaccine requirement for truckers, to me, is a good example. And if we forget about the demonstrations and we forget about the convoy for just a second and look at that policy for what it is, this is a policy that now goes against the World Health Organization's recommendation, and for which no epidemiological studies and projections have been provided. Meanwhile, the industry is clear. When this measure took effect, the price of transport for fresh products from the United States went up by 15 to 20% on average. Now, I understand there are many factors contributing to inflation, but inflation happens over time, not overnight.